He's paired with Fowler. He has been a great deal in this preseason. The other thing that Verbeek mentioned was he said, I beg your pardon, he brought Dmitry Kulikov into play with Jamie Drysdale.
Yeah, hey, Jen, I'll take it. Yes, the pairing of Fowler and Klingberg, I think, is a really great match. Cam, certainly a mainstay here in Anaheim, going to help assimilate John Klingberg into Anaheim, the locker room, and as a partner. And I think it's one of those things where Cam is going to read what Klingberg's doing. When Klingberg goes, Cam's going to know that he has to hang back. And then also with Jamie Drysdale and Kulikov, what a nice matchup. Kulikov, another defenseman, over 800 games played, going to be that veteran, confident type of guy for Jamie. Let Jamie go, and he's going to stick back and make sure he protects the goaltenders.
And I think one of the things that Pat Verbeek's looking at when he puts Klingberg and Fowler together, let's talk a little more about Cam here, is the fact that now you got two defensemen playing together that both have over 800 games of NHL experience. You've got a #1 pairing, don't you?
You do, and #1 pairing that any team in the league would love to have. And both are very offensive-minded. We know Cam is really kind of climbed up in the last couple of years, taking that responsibility for jumping up into the play, trying to be more offensive. I think now Cam's going to be able to kind of pick and choose. But yeah, 811 games, 81 goals, 285 assists for 366 points. That blue line is going to be hard to cover for any team trying to check that first pair of defensemen.
And we saw a warm-up shot as we were going away to break in our last segment of Dmitry Kulikov. We probably haven't talked enough about him, and with all the new faces, maybe a little bit under the radar. Came over in a trade late in the offseason. Another veteran presence. Kulikov's been around for a while. He's a Russian native, but he played a year of junior in the Quebec League before turning pro. Ducks got him from Minnesota. This is a guy that brings a physical edge, which is something I think you want to put with that young defenseman. Remember, Jamie Drysdale's still just 20 years old.
And people forget, because you see such an upside on Jamie Drysdale that you sometimes forget the age and how short of a career he's actually had so far. But I love the pairing. Yeah, a big physical guy to stay at home, anchor that defenseman, make sure that the goalies know that there's always a guy going to protect them, and then pick and choose when Jamie jumps up into the play. And, a lot of it's just communication. I think that's going to be good for the two of those guys to try to get that chemistry early in the season.
Yeah, not to overlook that third pairing either with Shattenkirk and Beaulieu. At least tonight, you got more experience, a veteran third pair as well. I think that's definitely something Pat Verbeek was looking to add, was experience. Now, I've been holding you off the entire show. He's chomping at the bit to talk goaltenders. We're going to turn him loose. John Gibson gets the start tonight. We'll focus on that when we return. When they bus out of town afterwards, they'll be looking ahead at this. The home opener on Wednesday at Honda Center against the Seattle Kraken. We hope to see you there for that one. And then a get-to-know-one-another road trip, a long weekend in New York. There's a lot of new faces for the Ducks, so they'll have a chance to get comfortable with one another. It starts with the Islanders on Saturday, Monday, Tuesday with the Rangers and Devils. They go to Boston before flying home through Detroit. They'll be gone for 11 days. Let's take a look at John Gibson. He gets the start tonight. I know he told Brian Hayward earlier in camp he wanted to play 2.5 games in the preseason to get ready. Well, he's played 1.5, so he's probably going to get the whole game today, isn't he?
I would assume so, and as a starting goaltender, you certainly want to have that last game, get your feet wet, get really ready for that opening night next Wednesday. But for Gibby, he's a notoriously fast starter. I think the team is going to really need him to kind of be that backstop early in the season, let them make some mistakes in front of him, and have him get into that role where he's winning games early and often.
Well, he has looked very good so far in his limited work. He's played 88 minutes. But the Ducks will play 60 minutes here at Crypto, and then it's the regular season. Stay tuned. The Kings and Ducks are next. Saturday afternoon is hockey time in sunny downtown Los Angeles. Crypto.com is where the Ducks and Kings will put the finishing touches on the exhibition campaign. Welcome into the broadcast booth once again, everyone. He's Brian Hayward. I'm John Aller. So glad you could join us today. Coaches will tell you the preseason's necessary. Veterans might tell you it's a necessary evil, but it's necessarily over after this one.
I think the players look forward to this. I can tell you who does, the coaches, because they're looking for chemistry between certain line combinations up front, defensive pairings as well. And I think this lineup that the Ducks are going with in this afternoon's game might very well be their starting lineup in regular season game number 1. So there's a little bit on the line for some of these guys.
Ducks are a very young team. Everyone knows that, and they, make no qualms about it. But there's a lot of excitement about one of their youngest players. That's Mason McTavish. He was hard to ignore last season in all the different places he was. Where does he find himself today? On the top line.
And playing on the wing. Remember, he's normally a center, but like a lot of young players, are shifted to the wing because there are fewer defensive responsibilities. This was his first career NHL game last year, and this is a typical Mason McTavish type of goal. This is a young man, even at age 19, that is not afraid to get his nose dirty and go to the front of the net. He's been kind of slow in training camp, but tonight he gets elevated to the top line. He's going to play with Trevor Zegras. It's going to be very interesting to see how Mason makes out in this game tonight.
And look at that tangled web he weaved last year, playing for about 7 different teams, including the Canadian junior team a couple of times, including playing for the Ducks, including playing for the San Diego Gulls. But that top line will also include Ryan Strome this evening, and he's another of the new faces that the Ducks have in their lineup that we're looking forward to seeing.
He's a puck distributor. And remember, I always say this about Ryan Strome. When he was with the New York Rangers, he was the setup man for Artemi Panarin. He's got Troy Terry on his right side. And hopefully Troy Terry can benefit from the same kind of ability from Ryan Strome. Troy loves playing with him. He knows if he gets open, Strome's going to find him.
Maybe still some jobs available, and you look down on the 4th line, you're going to see a face you're not that familiar with in Pavel Regenda, but in the last meeting at Honda Center between these two teams, the 4th line dominated.
They were outstanding, and I said this, 3 players, all 6'3" or bigger. So this is a bang and crash line. They're going to generate chances off of the forecheck. They're going to get second opportunities because they've got 3 guys that are very difficult to move out from in front of the net. They were great last game, and they're trying to make one final impression on head coach Dallas Eakins that they can maybe be more than just your typical 4th line. Maybe play more minutes. Maybe give the Ducks a different kind of look to start the regular season.
Well, it's great to see Max Jones back in the lineup. Ali Lozoff saw a lot of him last season, unfortunately, because he wasn't in the lineup. And with more on him, we go down to Ali at rink level.
Yeah, so I don't know if our viewers at home know this, but my interview spot at home games is right down by the player locker room and lounge area. And so I probably saw Max almost every home game, and he'd smile and say hi, and I'd ask how he was doing. He'd say, okay, but there was always this sort of forlorn sense about him, and you could tell that it was really tough on him mentally. It was a challenging season, and of course, because it sucks to be so close to your teammates and your friends and be yet so far from being able to join them on the ice and play with them. And so for him to excel the way he did last game and get excited about playing hockey again, John, I mean, that was a long time coming. He has been waiting and waiting and waiting for this opportunity, guys, and so you better know that he is not going to take it for granted.
Making the most of it, to say the least. The one they call Jonesy, he's a +6 in the preseason. We haven't seen Trevor Zegras in 10 days after a hard hit against Arizona. He'll be in the lineup this afternoon as the Ducks and Kings put the finishing touches on the preseason. Anaheim Ducks hockey on Bally Sports is brought to you by Honda, official vehicle of the NHL and the Anaheim Ducks. So glad you could join us this afternoon from Crypto.com Arena. The Kings and Ducks each with their final preseason game of the exhibition campaign. Tuesday night for the Kings, they will get things started here at home against Vegas. And for the Ducks, they don't start until Wednesday when they will entertain the Seattle Kraken. But the final game means the final chance to impress the coach. Ducks will start with their 4th line. Grant out to take the draw at center ice. Anaheim in their road whites, black numbers, and the Kings in their home blacks with white numbers, and LA controls the draw. Walker able to move it up the right boards, and now it trickles in behind Gibson, who sets it up with his first touch of the hockey game, and then Klingberg able to clear the zone.
Now, this is a trend I think we're going to see more of from Dallas Eakins if this 4th line keeps performing as well as they did last game, John, because big guys, they can provide a little bit of energy in the opening shift of hockey games.
Klingberg with it as he comes out of the zone, hands it off to his partner Fowler. He marches in to the Kings zone, but the Ducks are offside. We mentioned John Gibson gets the starting goal. Hazy, I know you talked to him earlier in training camp, and I think he's right where he wants to be, at least as far as playing time goes.
Yeah, he told me, I want to play 2.5 games. That's all I need in order to get ready for the start of the regular season. And you know, John is such a talented athlete. I think the focus and the intensity for John really picks up as the training camp moves along. And he's going to be the workhorse again. There's no question about that for Dallas Eakins. And Gibson's looked good so far in the preseason.
And based on the way, Brian, that he started the last few seasons, I'd say he's got it dialed in pretty well because he has been so strong to start the last few years. We're going to get a penalty here. A hooking call coming up against the Ducks less than a minute into the game.
Yeah, reaching in was Max Comtois. A little tug on the hands, and as soon as you make contact, boy, you know, it's hard for players, right? You go for the stick lift, but if you touch that bottom hand at all, and especially if the puck carrier loses possession of the puck like Byfield did, it's going to cost you a couple of minutes. And it's important as a back checker, got to keep those feet moving, get closer to that player, make darn sure you don't touch his gloves.
Kings have been very good on the power play in this preseason, and they get a one-timer away right off as Fiala's drive is gloved by Gibson, set up by Drew Doughty.
Well, one thing you know with the addition of Kevin Fiala is he's not going to shy away from shooting the puck. I mean, this is a guy that's going to get a couple hundred shots on goal at minimum this season for LA, and especially with getting frontline power play minutes, it's going to award him even more opportunity than maybe he was getting with the Wild.
33 goals for Fiala a season ago. 5 of them came on the power play. Kopitar mans the right point now. Kings 7 of 25 in the preseason on the power play. They put a lot of time into it. Last season they were well below 20%. As Kempe works the left wing half wall now along with Kopitar. I think a lot of people too, Brian, forget the Kings had such a breakout season last year, but they did it without Drew Doughty for over half the season. This is a guy who usually leads the league in ice time, but he missed over half a season. He's a guy that they rely on for so many different things, and if you think you're going to get a healthy Drew Doughty for close to 80 games this year, how much better can the Kings be? Fiala off the half wall, moves it into the middle. Now Kopitar back at the left point, plays catch with Doughty, brings it to the dot. Nice pass across, and Gibson moving to his left. Got a piece of it, and he might have gotten some help. Fiala's shot may have hit a teammate on the way. He goes right back through, and Kopitar robbed! A 10-bell save for Gibson, who was down and reached with his blocker and his goal stick.
John, consecutive passes through the middle of the 4-man penalty killing box. That is not good penalty killing for the Ducks.
This one redirected right on net, and Gibson stops it with his right pad and lunges to cover with the glove.
There's only one reason why the Kings did not score on this power play, and you're looking at him right there. John Gibson, terrific. Got helped out on this one-time blast by Adrian Kempe that goes off the outside of the goal post. And then here's another chance for Kevin Fiala. Look at the traffic in front. Actually, never got to the net because Kempe got in the way. And then later on, boy, what a stop by John Gibson. I say this about Gibson all the time. He makes saves that few other goaltenders can make.
He didn't quit on that one, and as a result, still scoreless. He makes a save, lost his helmet, and they score on the rebound. At the side of the net, it's Gabe Velarde, who's now got 4 goals in his last 3 games, and the Kings strike first.
So this shot hits Gibson in the mask. It loosens the strap on his mask. But the reason why the whistle doesn't blow right away is a continuation play. And that rebound sits down, goes underneath John. But that's a tough one. Hits him square in the face, drops down between his legs, trickles down through his pads behind him, and it's a tap in. And the LA Kings and Gabe Velarde, who's having himself a real good camp for LA, the beneficiary of that. Doesn't get any easier than that for Velarde.
In the meantime, Gibson will go over and address the equipment issue. Sean Dursey, coming off of off-season shoulder surgery, has come in the last couple of games for the Kings and made an immediate impact. He's got 4 points in the last 2 games since he re-emerged in this lineup.
Tell you, John, the Kings power play looked great. great puck movement. But that expression on Mike Steller's face says it all. He won't be happy because you allow passes through the 4-man penalty killing box like that, and it's an awful lot to ask of your goaltender. Remember, this is what the preseason is for. Sellers is going to find out who he trusts to put in that position, because you got to have a great penalty kill if you're going to get points night after night on a consistent basis.
So a fast start for the Kings, who lead 1-0. LA has lost their last 2 preseason games and surrendered 11 goals along the way, losing 5-4 at Anaheim on Tuesday, and then went to Salt Lake City and dropped a 6-4 contest to the Golden Knights on Thursday. Turnover in the neutral zone as Fowler steps up and the Ducks into the Kings zone. Klingberg trying to join the rush, and Zegras' pass went off his skate. That was just vintage Klingberg, the way he came flying into the zone there. And now Trevor Moore brings it back out and just flips it as far as the Anaheim stripe. Both teams go for changes as Fowler hangs on to it.
John, you and I have talked about it, but that defensive pairing on Fowler and Klingberg is an interesting one to keep an eye on. Both are great skaters. Both want to be up on the rush. Sometimes I think it's going to be a race to see which one can get there first.
Here's Quentin Byfield. He missed some time in camp because of an illness and throws a long wrist shot on Gibson. He turns that aside. Drysdale clears it. And back to center ice, it's Troy Terry up with it for the Ducks. He's tied up by Gabe Vilardi, and I think this is going to be a penalty against Vilardi.
Yeah, this is Gabe Vilardi takes one hand off the stick. It's not a flagrant foul by any means, but obviously the referees are trying to set a tone here in the early going.
It's Corey Sibrit along with Steve Kazari, our referees, and they've been busy early.
As soon as he takes the one hand off the stick, he's vulnerable. Also made contact a little bit with Troy's bottom hand, but boy, they're calling it tight to begin this hockey game.
So the Ducks go to the power play. And that's been a work in progress throughout the training camp. And Strome with a face-off win. Got it back to Klingberg, whose pass is knocked away momentarily by Doughty and now recovered as Zegras works it to the line. Quick shot by Klingberg doesn't get through. Strome serves it over and fired wide quickly by Terry. Well, that's the quick trigger that the Ducks are looking for. They don't want to hang on to it. They don't want to stop it. They want to one-time it when they can. Terry had to stop that one, and his bid is deflected over top of the net. Zegras steps up to get a stick on it. McTavish trying to join the fray, but it pops loose. And it's Deneau who steers it over to Doughty, who does the honors.
Keep an eye on Mason McTavish. He's the net front presence on this power play unit tonight. And Mason, a little sidelined with a nagging injury at the beginning of camp, set him back a little bit. So this is a big game for him.
He makes a great pass over to Strome, and a sprawling pad stack from Jonathan Quick. Klingberg has it at the line again, slides it over. A lot of room and time for Zegras. Great pass down low. McTavish pops it into the middle and unable to field it cleanly as Terry cleared away by the Kings.
Both of these power plays look good, don't they, to start this game? Great puck movement. A lot of deception, and that's another element that Klingberg brings to the table on the Anaheim power plays. Has that ability to look people off.
Ducks leave it in the logo at center almost a little too long. They're fortunate to recover it. Shattenkirk now handles at center. We got a lot of options if you're Dallas Eakins as far as defensemen who can play on your power play. Shattenkirk has all kinds of career experience. Fowler, Klingberg, we've already documented as well. Shattenkirk has it now on the right boards. Takes a look back to the line. Fowler across for Frank Vetrano. Vetrano pulls the trigger, and that's held by Jonathan Quick.
A couple good opportunities for the Ducks on this power play. The best one belonged to Strome. Good entry with Zegras and a deft little pass on the backhand, but boy, nice little feed across to Strome. And that was McTavish that spotted the right-handed shooting, and Jonathan Quick goes old school, stacks the pads, and takes away the lower portion of the short side. I'm sure that Strome will tell you, I had time to elevate that puck and get it up and under the bar. Just couldn't get it there.
Henrique with a face-off win as the Ducks remain on the power play. Regenda to the front of the net. That shot may have hit him from Fowler. Penalty now expires to Vilardi, and the Kings are full strength. They lead 1-0 early on, just over 5 minutes in. Both teams go for personnel changes, and stepping up in the neutral zone, Shattenkirk intercepts a pass, and furthers it along into the King zone. Silverberg spins to the corner, trying to work it away down low. He's tied up with Arvidsson. First preseason appearance for Victor Arvidsson, as he missed the tail end of last season and the early part of training camp after a back procedure. So the Kings are happy to see number 33 out on the ice. Prior to their opener, Arvidsson had a big year for them, scored 20 goals again in his first season as a King last year. Now here's Isaac Lundestrom backhanding it up the wall. Down low, trying to keep it in his feet was Comtois, but he's knocked off his feet. And then he returns the favor after Doughty gave him a shot. Kopitar comes out of the fray with it. Just flipped back into the Anaheim zone. Will not go far enough for icing. Drysdale able to track it down. Kulikov hit the brakes behind the net. Headmans the puck, picked up at center by Drysdale. Just loses the handle as he gains the line, and coming back is Doughty to pick it up. Mikey Anderson missed 25 games due to injury last season. Out there with Doughty right now. Doughty's pass to Flex high in the air. Kevin Fiala gloves it down, and he'll restart. Over 1,200 games now for Andrzej Kopitar. As he lays it back into the defensive zone, Alexander Edler comes off the bench, creates a rebound, and another steal on Kopitar by Gibson as he lunges to his right. That's twice, Hazy, that Kopitar's had a yawning net, and he doesn't have a goal yet.
Well, because of John Gibson and his ability to scramble.
Here's Henrique in front. He goes backhand and hit the post.
Oh, he had Jonathan Quick moving the wrong direction, and he just couldn't find that puck on goal, because by the time Quick slid out of the way, he had almost half a net.
Got a lot of 4x6s, or so it appears, and yet we only have one goal. Alex Iafallo shovels it out on the backhand. Just over 8 minutes into the first period. And now it's pitchforked in by Henrique. Quick moves it quickly, and Edler's pass off the stick of Zegras. He tries to throw it between the circles for Vetrano, but that was sniffed out by Iafallo. A little hectic right now as Zegras the lone forechecker, and the Kings will reverse it away from him. Trevor to the bench for a change. Edler, beginning his 17th season, moves it on the right side. Blake Lizotte moves it into the middle, over to Grundstrom. One more pass, and maybe one too many, as he was trying to find Kaliev. Picked up at center. This is McTavish, protects it on the backhand, fights away from Grundstrom, trying to get it to the front of the net. That's denied, but he still possesses as he brings it back up the near wall. To the corner, trying to find Strome. Terry with pressure. Strome centers, nobody home. It'll go all the way down.
Boy, the pace. You know, we were talking with Dallas Aikens. He was talking about the pace and how the last couple of preseason games, the pace really picks up. And you can see it here, not only because the game is quicker, but there are more turnovers because there's a lot more pressure on the puck right now.
That would have been icing, but Grant was the first one to it. Finds Regenda behind the net, out high, and Nathan Beaulieu lets one go that just missed. He was looking for a tip at the near side post. Speed for Philip Deneau into the Anaheim zone. He rifles it wide. Arvidsson trying to keep it alive along the boards, pokes it behind the net. Beaulieu just keeps it on the dasher, and it'll come all the way to center. Regenda got it there and couldn't get it deep. Max Jones couldn't reach it at the blue line. Arvidsson turns the other way. Deneau throws it across the top of the crease. Couldn't get the redirect, but up the boards it's kept alive by Fiala. His pass across the zone snipped out. Nice play by Max Jones. Intercepts the pass and got it to Silverberg, who protects it into the Kings' end. Mikey Anderson with a quick reversal. He played over half of the opening period. Not a whole lot of whistles. Kings with a 1-0 lead. Puck turned over in the neutral zone. Silverberg waits for Comtois to get onside. And now it's Drew Doughty. Moves it up the right side. Quick puck movement finds Adrian Kempe. Kempe had a big year last year, a career year. Scored over 30 goals, plays it back and out of the reach of Doughty, so that'll clear the zone.
I think that might be the question mark around this LA team. And a lot of changes from last season, but can Kempe, can Deneau repeat career seasons back to back?
One-time blast by Kaliev as he came right off the bench, and that's off the chest of Gibson. Arthur Kaliev's had a good training camp for these Kings. Edler moves it rink wide. It's Kaliev with it again. He tried to make another pass. That was blocked. Grundstrom finds him again in the high slot. He finds the handle and scores. Well, right on cue, Arthur Kaliev adds a goal. It's 2-0 Kings.
One thing you know about Arthur Kaliev is he's not looking to make plays when he gets the puck on his stick. He's kind of bouncing around crazily, and Kaliev just slides out to the top of the slot and rips it. And you know, John Gibson got fooled on that. I think he lost sight of that puck. Puck went right through the feet of Adam Henrique. May have changed direction perhaps and make life a little bit more difficult for Gibson, but probably one that John would like to have back.
The native of Staten Island gives the Kings a 2-goal lead, and Terry off the faceoff circles back in the Anaheim zone. Carries through center. Klingberg on the right side, back to Terry. He pulls the trigger, and that one out of play. So we'll take our first break of this first period. The Kings with a fast start.
Our Honda keys to the game this afternoon. Good first pass out of the zone. Coach is always looking for breakouts and get to the front of the net, try and get some screens in front of quick. Good pass moments ago. John Klingberg puts it on the tee for Troy Terry, and he rips it off of the crossbar. Remember last year at about this time, Troy Terry said this. He said, you know what? I don't just want to be a player in the league. I want to be an impact player. He became an impact player last season with that 37-goal performance. He's bigger and stronger this year, and he has looked tremendous in training camp. And boy, he would have loved to have had that one. But he's a goal scorer, and he can really fire that little snapshot of his.
2-0 Kings as Trevor Moore gets a stick on a pass at center, and it's picked up by Philip Deneau. Behind the net, little collision there. Arvidsson, as he's falling, trying to backhand it in front, but it goes right to Troy Terry. McTavish has it stripped away at center, followed up by Strome, but he can't get past the blue line. And now Arvidsson's pass is swatted away at the other stripe.
Yeah, that was a nice play by McTavish there to get his shoulders inside, make a good defensive play. That's what they're looking for, a little bit more from Mason. I mean, like a lot of young players, remember, just 19 years of age. A lot of them are great offensive stars when they play junior or college, but they get to the NHL and they got to learn the defensive side of the game as well.
Fourth of the preseason for Velarde, third of the exhibition campaign for Kaliev, and the Kings lead 2-0. Frank Vetrano for the Ducks finds Zegras. Tries to make a move and skate around Mikey Anderson and find the puck on the other side, but Anderson played the body on him. Beaulieu kept it in at the line, and now it's tracked down on the near side by Henrique. Back to the line, a little shake and bake from Zegras, right back for Henrique. Vetrano digs it loose. Zegras can't catch up with it, and Quentin Byfield, former second overall pick in 2020, able to loosen it up for Drew Doughty.
And no coincidence when Zegras is out there for the Ducks, Todd McClellan likes to get Drew Doughty over the boards. That was a matchup that was very entertaining to watch last season.
Now Jones gallops out of the Anaheim zone with it, cuts to the middle, hands it off. Regenda mishandles it, then throws it towards the net. It goes wide and around to Grant. To the corner, Jones. Grant shot through traffic as Regenda went right to the front of the net, and Quick somehow saw that.
Well, Regenda is figuring it out, isn't he? I mean, get to the net, use that frame of his. Got pretty good hands. We were talking with general manager Pat Kubik the other day, and he said, oh, this young man's got good hands. It's not just the size.
And we saw them on display on Tuesday when these teams met on the rush. He scored a real pretty goal. Gibson forced to make another stop. Now the puck held at the line by Dursey. Tries to walk it to the middle, then serves it off. Matt Roy's shot off the stick of Gibson. That went into the netting and out of play. And even 6 minutes to go in the opening period. On Wednesday, you'll get a free magnet schedule presented by Bally's. Festivities begin with the orange carpet and player arrival. Get to Honda Center early or visit AnaheimDucks.com/ready. Of course, the unveiling of the 21st Duck, a tradition on opening night as well. And you don't want to miss that. Heart-rendering moments every year.
Amazing group of people.
And they're all expected to be on hand as well, all our previous 21st Ducks. You don't want to miss it. You know, that's the highlight every year. Oh, by the way, the Seattle Kraken will be there too.
That's right.
Puck bouncing back into the Kings zone. Just under 6 to go in a first period that has seen the Kings get one on the power play, one even strength, and they lead 2-0. Here's Carl Grundstrom. It's 3-0.
Well, that's a shocker of a shot from Grundstrom. I can guarantee you that John Gibson was not believing that Grundstrom was going to elevate that puck to the extent that he was able to do so. Watch this shot. Top of the circle, wrist shot. But Gibson was guessing low all the way. And you know what?
I think it hit Jamie Drysdale's stick.
I think it may have changed direction too, John, but that puck was rolling. It never sits flat. So it's on the stick of Grundstrom, and he just kind of flings it up top. And it's up over the left hand of John Gibson. It's now a 3-0 lead for LA.
The Kings are looking for more offense this season based on last year when they were 20th in the league in goal scoring. They got 3 here in the first. McTavish's shot disrupted, comes off the end boards. Quick couldn't cover it up, and now Fowler backhands it to the slot. Terry hits the brakes trying to get away from Kopitar. Not having a lot of luck with that, so he serves it up. Fowler tees it up, redirected. McTavish may have gotten a piece. Strome tracks it down in the corner. He's all over Kopitar. And a delayed penalty coming up against the Ducks. Grant chops it into the bench, and Anaheim will go shorthanded. A tough opening period at Crypto.com. Ryan Strome off for holding, and Hazy, the Ducks are shorthanded again.
Now, Ryan Strome takes one hand off the stick, and you're going to see him just kind of grab onto that right arm of Kopitar. And that's a pretty easy call for the official to make. Strome, key unrestricted free agent acquisition by the Ducks. Going to be asked to add a lot of leadership into that locker room. That's what he is known for.
Well, you talked about how the Kings were able to zip it around on the power play earlier, and see if Anaheim can keep them from moving it laterally through that penalty-killing box here. Velarde scored on the power play early. And the Kings have added a pair since. They're on top 3-0. Offside the call here as Jersey plays that puck while it was still inside the stripe.
Well, Kevin Shattenkirk goes right to the linesman. The linesman hesitated, John. He was going to say that faceoff's going all the way down the opposite end, and then he changed his mind at the last second, and that's what Shattenkirk's having a little chat with him about. Territorially, you know, you're a guy on the penalty kill unit. You want that faceoff down in Kings territory.
Kaliev will carry it in off the draw from just outside the stripe, winds it around on the backhand. Shattenkirk intercepts it, spins with it in the corner, and frees it up to find Max Jones. He'll send it 200 feet.
We'll see a lot more Max Jones, I think, on the penalty killing unit this season, and he was certainly missed in that role last year.
Flying into the zone as Jersey hits the brakes, nearly toe-picked when he did so, but he handed the puck off, and unable to seal the wall was Kaliev. And around and out it comes. Jersey back to get it. What a pleasant surprise he was for the Kings last season. They went through 13 different defensemen, and along the way they called him up and he never went back to Ontario. Kopitar sends it for Arvidsson on the right side. He fights off the check from Kulikov, and around it comes Kopitar again, unable to connect this time with Arvidsson, and then inadvertently clears the zone himself.
Yeah, Jersey back for it. Jersey, of course, came from the Leaf organization in that Jake Muzzin deal that also brought Grundstrom over to the Kings. So both players playing a role.
Kings gain entry. Doughty moves it quickly. Gets it right back and gives it to Kopitar again into the middle. Kempe's shot redirected on the way, and Arvidsson very nearly found it first as Gibson was going to his left. Worked off the wall by Comtois, and that's got to be a penalty on Fiala. Looked like he stuck the knee out a little bit, and Lundestrom comes over because Kulikov was on the receiving end of that.
Not too much question about the knee from Kevin Fiala here. I don't think Fiala was expecting that Kulikov was going to put his head down here and start moving that puck up the ice instead of just shooting it. So he got caught unawares, but players on both teams, you know, you never like to see that. Boy, he really sticks that right knee out. It's knee-to-knee contact. Kulikov looks no worse for wear, but that can be a dangerous play.
Yeah, they call it tripping, but that was definitely the knee. So 4-on-4 for 20 seconds. And then Anaheim will have their second power play chance, and they could use it down 3-0. Mikey Anderson spins it to the corner off the faceoff, back in the Los Angeles zone. Alex Iafallo circles back. He'll drive up the left side and into the Anaheim zone with it. Goes wide, tries to go short side. Gibson makes the save as he continues to hug the post. Doughty to the corner, now retreats defensively as the penalty's over to Strome, and Anaheim on a power play. Zegras sets it up, and Klingberg starts back. Klingberg misses Zegras with that hook drop pass, and Anaheim will have to start over. 2 minutes, 40 seconds to go in the first period. 3-0 Kings. Trevor Zegras led the Ducks with 9 power play goals a season ago. He gains entry to the zone, but his pass bounces away from McTavish. Edler can't find the handle in the corner. He ties up Strome long enough to allow Trevor Moore to clear. Now under a minute to go in the Anaheim man advantage. They've yet to gain the zone and keep possession of the puck. Troy Terry coming late with speed. He'll carry into the zone, brings it into the middle as he got hooked, hands it off, and now Anaheim set up. Zegras quickly back to Klingberg. Bottom of the right circle, it's Terry. Point covered by Zegras. Long wrist shot tipped out high, never got through, and cleared away, this time by Iafallo.
Trevor Zegras last season started to shoot the puck a lot more on the power play. Led the Ducks in power play goals with 9. We always think of Trevor as more of a passer than a shooter, but that wasn't the case last season with the extra man.
Now Henrique and Vetrano bring it through the neutral zone. Shattenkirk across the line. Henrique falls down, but it's rescued by Fowler. Swats it over, and Regenda bodied along the wall there by Doughty. Keeps the puck alive down low. Henrique trying to force it in front off a stick to Fowler. Pops through the slot and away from Henrique. Penalty is over. Fiala out of the box, and the Kings full strength. Shattenkirk's shot tipped on the way and covered by Jonathan Quick.
Yeah, good decision by Jonathan Quick there, and give a lot of credit to Matt Roy, who kind of kept pushing on Frank Vetrano, pushing him away from the net. And so the redirect, see how he's boxed him out there? I mean, he's almost got him all the way out to the hash mark. Well, it makes life a lot easier for Jonathan Quick when you've got your defense boxing out. LA, a very good defensive team last season, ranked top 5 in preventing rebound chances and quality chances against, and that's a good indication of why that is the case.
Final minute of play in the opening period as the Kings are whistled for icing.
It's a strange period, John, in that, you know, other than that first power play sequence for the Kings, I don't think the Ducks played a bad opening 20 minutes, but they find themselves down by 3. They had a couple of posts. Gibson would probably like to have one of the 3 back. I think he would tell you.
Both teams have hit some posts in this one. 3-0 Kings. They are 2-3-1 in their preseason. For what it's worth, the Ducks come in at 4-2. And in about an hour and 45 minutes, none of it will matter. icing the call here against Anaheim, because come Tuesday, everybody except Nashville and San Jose are going to be 0-0. Of course, they officially started the season yesterday over in Prague.
The Predators with a 4-1 win over the Sharks. Big moment for San Jose in that game was Thomas Hertl scoring in his homeland, but other than that, there wasn't a lot to cheer about as the Predators prevailed quite easily.
Yeah, they're in the midst of another one right now as we speak, as Iafalo's shot eventually off a deflection gets to Gibson, and he hangs on to it.
You see how effective it is when teams one touch past the puck in the offensive zone. You catch defenders kind of spinning around trying to locate the puck, and sometimes that means that those passing lanes are a little bit more open.
Shots on goal 17 and 9 in favor of the Kings in this opening period as Zegras banks it out, and Byfield brings it back. Big Quinton Byfield right through the logo and into the Anaheim zone, hands it off. Gabe Vilardi, he got the scoring started. Back to Edler, his long drive easily gloved off by Gibson. And still 14 seconds remain in the opening period.
It's the veteran Alex Edler. I thought he had a real nice season for LA last year. Plus 18 player, I think was a pleasant surprise for Todd McClellan.
In just 41 games.
Yeah, and of course he came over after having spent the previous 15 seasons with the Vancouver Canucks, but a nice depth add, no question, for Rob Blake, the general manager here in LA.
And he lost half a season to a broken ankle. There's another one when you consider no Edler and no Doughty for half a season, and the Kings still took Edmonton to Game 7 in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. They've taken the Ducks to a 3-goal deficit here after one this afternoon.
Like I said, John, that first LA power play, they were just flat out dominate, generated 5 grade A scoring chances. Since that, the scoring chances are pretty even between these two teams. 5-4 in favor of the Kings. But here it is for Anaheim. Boy, they got some catching up to do. They've had some chances, but they got to clean things up in their own end. And that, more than anything for me, they got to do a better job immediately in around their own goal crease, kind of clearing the way for Gibson to see more pucks cleanly.
40 minutes till the regular season, but maybe 20 minutes that the Ducks would rather forget about. They're in LA, trailing the Kings by a count of 3-0 after one period of play at Crypto.com. Just about set to start the second period of play at Crypto.com. The Ducks and Kings putting the finishing touches on the preseason. When the regular season begins, the Ducks will start at Honda Center this Wednesday. They play host to their division rival, the Seattle Kraken. And then, Hazy, they go east, an 11-day trip. A long weekend in New York, as I like to call it. The Isles, the Rangers, and the Devils. Then they go to Beantown and stop off in the Motor City on their way back home.
Yeah, it's not the easiest of schedules, that's for certain. And depending on how you feel about starting the season at home or on the road, you get different opinions on that. Some people think, especially with a young team, it's not a bad idea to start on the road, where there's bonding opportunities for the players to get together and have dinners on the off days, et cetera, et cetera. But never an easy trip, I don't think, when you head now into the New York metropolitan area. The Devils are expected to be a significantly improved team. The Rangers are already a great team, and it's a bounce-back season for the Islanders. It may have been lost the most games last season to man games lost because of injury, and Lou Lamoriello didn't make a lot of changes because he thinks he's got a playoff team on the island.
In fact, 9 of the first 12 for Anaheim will be away from Honda Center. And away for the rest of this game, we're told, will be John Gibson. Anthony Stolarz spelling him here to begin the second period. An upper body injury. We saw Gibson take one off the mask early in the game. It resulted in the first goal as the puck just lay in the crease behind him for Gabe Vilardi. So Stolarz, who made a nice case last season with the year he had, he was 9th in the league in save percentage in the entire National Hockey League with that .917 last year. And you go all the way back to to the end of the previous season. In his last 32 appearances as a Duck, he's 15-9-3.
I will say this about Stolarz last year. May have been certainly top 5 of backup goaltenders in the NHL. You talked about his save percentage, but you can't lose sight of the fact that a lot of his starts were the second half of back-to-back games on the road. Those are the tough ones. And he really came through with a terrific performance last year. And it's been very good in camp. I'm always impressed by Anthony's work habits. Watch him every day in practice. And boy, it reminds me a little bit of J.S. Shiger in practice, in that every puck he is doing his best to stop it.
He handles the puck very well, as we saw right there, out to play it behind the net, and it rode up the glass and out of play. He got married in the off-season on the exact same day that Derek Grant and teammate Troy Terry got married. And I asked him about that, and he said, well, I didn't have to invite that many guys because everybody was going to Terry's wedding. So it might have been, you know, could have been strategic.
Well, you still get the gift, right? You still get the gift.
You hope so. You hope so. Max Jones bounces in behind the Kings net and keeps a puck free for Regenda. Grant in the right circle, fights off a check and makes his way behind the net, knocked loose, paddled away by Quick as Jones tried to bring it into the blue. Instead, he'll wind it around Klingberg from the right point. Stutter steps, Grunstrom steps into him. He's able to keep the puck deep though. This is a classic fourth line shift here as Regenda keeps it alive in the corner. Edler leans on him. Jones had a stick on it momentarily. Blake Lizotte is there. And now Zegras off the bench falls as he tries to get it back to Klingberg, and away comes Grunstrom. Kings into the Ducks zone. Sean Walker's shot gobbled up and sticks to Anthony Stolarz.
Yeah, it was well defended. 3-on-2 rush when Zegras turns the puck over. And a good first stop for the goaltender Stolarz. But here's the turnover. You see 3 Kings have got a little separation. Kaliev is slow to drive the middle lane, and that's why it doesn't really open up for that cross-ice pass. It's not real dangerous. Little wrist shot handled easily by Anthony Stolarz.
That line, the Kings' fourth line, had a real nice opening period. All 3 of those forwards +2.
Turned the tables on Anaheim, didn't they?
I was going to say, we're getting used to seeing fourth lines take over hockey games here. At least the last 4 periods of hockey we've watched. Drysdale from behind the net trying to find a little space, couldn't get separation. Doughty stepped up to keep it in, and now it's out center ice. They lay it back for Mikey Anderson. Kings through center, and Velarde, who got the scoring started, puts it behind Stolarz. Comtois curls it to the middle. Lundestrom and Silverberg away to center, but no further than the blue line as Drysdale has to retreat defensively. Doughty plays catch with Anderson back in his own zone while the Kings change ahead. Second period, the long change period. So Doughty will take his time. Now the personnel straightened out, and Adrian Kempe lifts it to the right corner of the Anaheim zone. Beaulieu tied up there by Trevor Moore. Puck around to the far corner, kept at the line by Dursey. Dips his shoulder and then scales it up the glass further along. Fiala lost the physical battle there with Beaulieu. Kopitar follows up. Dursey hooks it right back to him. The LA captain across the top of the zone. Again to Fiala, who's trying to find a little space as Beaulieu checks him out high. Dursey, middle of the ice, flips it towards the net. Goes well wide, but again, the Kings keep it alive. Zegras pops it into the middle of the ice, and Frank Petrano skates it out of the zone. Henrique lost it in his skate, so he just banks it in. Ducks need a change as Quick sets it up.
Well, a little bit more structure to both teams here to begin this second period. That first 20 minutes, man, there was a lot of room in that neutral zone.
Trevor Moore's shot disrupted on the way by Kulikov. Again, Moore just trying to get it to the net off the boards, but it was blocked, and the Ducks break out. Terry through the neutral zone, puts it on right wing. Behind the net, he spun around as he tries to keep it alive. McTavish looking for Strome in front, but it went off a skate behind him. Now Kaliev marches in on the right side, protects the puck as he lays it back for Moore. I beg your pardon, it was Deneau, and Walker's one-timer fought off by Stolarz, who flashed the right pad to keep Deneau from making it 4-0. Walker on the left side trying to get away from McTavish, who leans on him. Strome digs it out, and the Ducks escape the zone as he quickly finds Terry. Troy on his own in the Kings' end, finds the trailer. McTavish all alone. He's in, goes backhand, and he sneaks it 5-hole. Mason McTavish puts the Ducks on the board.
Boy, he's got some patience, doesn't he? The Ducks with a line change, and all of a sudden Mason McTavish is just wide open in the middle of the ice. Here's the puck into the middle. Troy Terry's buying a little time. McTavish is coming in late, and that was a bad change for LA. I mean, there was just way too much time for Mason McTavish. Head up all the way, quick little move, and he just stuffs it 5-hole on Jonathan Quick.
Did not look like a 19-year-old player, did it?
No, this is a special player. I mean, this young man is going to become a real impact player. There's no question about that. It's just a question of when.
Well, Troy Terry with some great patience to hang on to that puck, and Strome, who dug it out in the defensive zone, will draw the assists. Anaheim on the board. So it's 3-1 Kings, and it comes right to the right side of Quick, and it's swatted at by Grant as Dallas Eakins gets his fourth line out there to try to keep this momentum going, and they go right to work in the LA zone. Regenda in the corner can't win the puck away from Mikey Anderson. It skips across. Grundstrom can't clear, though. Glove down by Klingberg. And they're going to rule a hand pass there as Max Jones was next to touch the puck.
I'm talking about Mason McTavish, you know, what a season for him. I mean, we talked about how many teams he actually ended up playing on last year, but MVP of the World Junior Championships. So the Ducks have got back-to-back MVPs of the World Juniors on their roster this season with Zegras and McTavish. But look at those teams that he played on. I mean, he just lived out of a suitcase last year, made the best of it, just dominated at the World Junior. Looked like a man playing with boys.
You know,
his time has come.
I talked to him about that, Brian. I beg your pardon. And I said, you know, what's so impressive is that he was so good at every level, too, because if you think about it, he played against men in professional hockey in the American League. Then he went back to play junior hockey, played against men at the NHL level as well. Then the Olympics, and then he's in the World Juniors a second time, if you will. And the thing that people forget about is he didn't really have a home during all that time. I mean, he played for 2 different teams in the OHL. I asked him at one point, I said, where was your car all the time? He said, I didn't have a car most places. And that can be disruptive for a player, both on and off the ice, but didn't seem to affect his play.
I think he can go buy himself a car. I got a feeling. Yeah, you know, the thing about that is that when you start the season playing in the National Hockey League, and he played 9 games, I gotta believe it gets a lot easier when you step back and go to junior and do the World Juniors. Even the Olympics is not, you know, the caliber of the National Hockey League.
I asked him what he considered to be his off season. He told me from July 1st to August 5th. It's not a very long off season, because then he started getting ready for the World Juniors again in August, and that rolled right into the Ducks rookie camp and prospects camp, rookie games, I should say. And here we are in the normal training camp. 3-1 now because McTavish with the goal here in the second period. Byfield working behind the Anaheim goal, can't get it to the front of the goal line, and now Comtois comes away with it as Kulikov headmans to him. Silverberg is offside because of a little interference at the blue line between Lundestrom and Sean Dursey. Who's this call going to go against?
Well, this will be an interesting call. Is it?
I believe it's on Dursey here.
I think they're going to give it to Lundestrom.
They will give it to Lundestrom. And
I don't like this call.
Yeah, he's still trying to figure out as he goes by Steve Kazari.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to jump in on the rush. He's not trying to interfere with a King defender. Although when you look at it from this angle, because he does clip the backside of Dursey, I understand it, John. I really do. And when I first saw that, I thought it might have been Dursey that got the interference penalty, but because Dursey is defending and retreating backwards and gets bumped by Lundestrom right at the blue line, second thought, I agree with the call.
Isaac took only 4 minor penalties during the regular season a year ago, in which he appeared in 80 games. He takes a seat here, and for the 3rd time this afternoon, the Kings go to the power play. They are 1 for 2. They lead 3-1, so a big kill where Anaheim's concerned here, as they'll face it off to the right of Anthony Stolarz.
Well, they captured the momentum of the game here in this second period, and now you're right, a solid penalty kill would help them to maintain that.
Ducks struggle a little bit in the face-off circle in that opening period, and they're unable to control this one. Arvidsson moves it around, and it's Kevin Fiala who feeds Doughty. Across for Kopitar. Drives to the dot, now pulls up rim of the circle. The veterans play catch. Kopitar wires it right through the crease. Knocked down was Arvidsson. The puck rides the boards around and out.
Yeah, it's quite a battle going on between Nathan Beaulieu and Victor Arvidsson for position at the top of that Anaheim goal crease.
You got to think Beaulieu can carve out some time on the penalty kill for himself. He plays his usual physical game. He has really struggled with injuries over the course of the last 6 or 7 years of his career. Came over as a free agent from Winnipeg. Signed late in camp by the Ducks. He only got 24 games with the Jets last year because of a couple different knee injuries. A veteran nonetheless, though. And now his 11th NHL campaign. Here's Fiala for the Kings. Joined by Arvidsson, who kicks it along the dasher. And then around it'll come for Kopitar. Under a minute to go in the power play as the Kings work it down low, intercepted by Fowler, and he's going to skate it out of harm's way, and he'll hang on to it. Cam now creates a 3-on-2 shorthanded as Vetrano with him drops it off, and Frank can't field it cleanly. It's chopped ahead, and now it's a foot race, and Trevor Moore beaten to the loose puck by the aforementioned Nathan Beaulieu.
Well, it's a real smart play by Cam Fowler as he looked off a couple of people, jumped up into the rush. Unfortunately, his drop pass just bounced right off of Frank Vetrano.
Beaulieu with it again, and he wastes no time, makes no mistake, and sends it all the way down. Quick looks around as he sets it up with 10 seconds remaining in the Kings' man advantage. This team's playing 3 times in the preseason. That equals the number of times they will play in the regular season, and that just seems like a shame to hockey fans of the Southland for sure. But it's just the way the schedule works out now, with 4 8-team divisions. Here's Gabe Velarde behind the net. He works his way to the front and serves it back. Matt Roy fakes the shot. Pass across, and a lunging save by Stolarz as the one-timer from Moore looked like it was off the mark. Well, the Kings have moved it side to side in the Anaheim offensive zone well at times this afternoon. Part of the reason they lead 3-1.
Yeah, Gabe Velarde is flashing that skill that we have heard a lot about over the years, but injuries really have kept him out of the Kings lineup or prevented him from becoming more of a regular player. But he's had a very good camp for them.
Ducks had speed on the rush, but lacking a little bit on execution, so the Kings able to work it back. Grundstrom loses it on the boards. Kulikov moves it to the middle, and Zegras gains the line. Caught a little bit on the back check and then knocked down on a good shoulder hit from Matt Roy. And then Roy got a pretty good hit on Henrique. Guys taking runs at one another right now back in the Kings zone. Meantime, the puck's still in play for Quinton Byfield. Byfield goes wide on the left side. Drysdale got the stick in the way. It's deflected high in the slot. Sean Walker kept it alive and now does shovel it ahead. And Iafallo gets his own rebound as Stolarz was unable to hang on. Ducks just clear it out of harm's way. Just about to the halfway mark of the hockey game. 3-1 Kings. Stolarz looks around and feeds Kulikov, and we got a whistle.
Offside.
Delayed offside, no longer delayed on the Kings. So the Mason McTavish goal has put the Ducks on the board now in the second at Crypto.com.
Came into camp on a professional tryout contract, is signed by the Ducks to a 1-year deal. Here's what they like about him. Physical, does a good job of boxing out and tying up sticks in front of the net. And John, as you mentioned, a good chance we're going to see a fair bit of Nathan early on in the season on the penalty kill. And for that reason. Honest player is the way I would describe Nathan Beaulieu.
He told me earlier in camp he had a number of opportunities and for PTOs because he came to the Ducks camp originally on a professional tryout, and he thought the opportunity, the best opportunity for him was in Anaheim. And he said also the Southern California weather wasn't a detriment by any means. So he spent his career prior to Anaheim in Montreal, Buffalo, and Winnipeg. So if weather's a consideration, this would be better then, wouldn't it?
It's a nice change of pace, I would say.
Kopitar throws it out of the zone, deflected through center, and Cam Fowler finds it first. I don't think Fiala knew where it was. Cam now wires it ahead. Cam played over 9 minutes in the opening period. Ducks offside as they serve it across the blue line. They have to tag up, and now they'll change while they're at it. Trevor Moore, Denver University pioneer by way of Thousand Oaks, California, left it behind, and here comes Regenda. He's got a man driving the center lane. It's Max Jones. He scores! Boy, the chemistry continues on this fourth line. The Ducks are within a goal.
Well, this is a terrific pass from Regenda. The Kings turn it over, and away go the Ducks in transition. Regenda got on his horse here, but it's the pass that really impresses me, John. Good finish by Jones, but watch Regenda pick his head up. Jones is barreling. He's on his horse, going right down the middle of the ice, and he just all in one motion just whips it. And you could see the trailer on the play, Mikey Anderson, could not catch up to Max Jones. And just like that, the Ducks have clawed their way back into this game.
So for Jones, his third goal in the last 2 games. And Anaheim once down 3-0, now within a goal. And they go right back to work in the Kings zone. Just past the halfway mark of the hockey game. And the fast start for LA, the only thing keeping them on top right now. Here comes Trevor Moore. He'll bank it up the wall and in. Knocked down by Beaulieu. Quick little reversal allows Grant to clear. And now Anderson retreats back along with Doughty. Long stretch pass taken by Blake Lizotte. It's a long wrist shot that misses everything. That'll come around and out. That's a breakout for the Ducks. Except Kaliev able to win the puck. Zegras got a stick on it at center. Shattenkirk couldn't further it along, and here's Grundstrom with speed again, but Toronto catches him on the back check. The Ducks try to sort things out. Loose puck for a moment to Zegras, but it was knocked away just as quickly by Kaliev. Lizotte goes hard into Shattenkirk behind the net. They both go down. Matt Roy fires it to the slot. It gets away from Vetrano and is now just chipped out to center ice. First man on it, Zegras. He's in, tries to go top shelf, and he hoisted it over top. And then he tripped up Byfield, and a penalty coming up to Trevor Zegras.
Well, Zegras had a great opportunity, and he just hoisted this puck just over top of the crossbar, but on the follow through, it's he and Dursey, and that little push from behind is going to cost him a couple of minutes. Watch for the extension of the arms, and that's why it's a cross-check on Dursey. Now, if that stick is in contact with the pants of Dursey before he actually extends the arms, then there's no penalty. You can push a player, but any time that you extend those arms and there's separation between your stick and the contact point, it's going to be a cross-checking penalty. It's something that the general managers asked the referees to crack down on at the start of last season. Way more cross-checking penalties were called last year relative to previous seasons, and as a result, that's why Trevor Zegras is sitting in the penalty box.
Kings' fourth power play of the game. They are 1 for 3. They lead 3-2. Fiala turns it over at the blue line, and it's just sandwiched back by Max Jones. Doughty has pressure from Grant.
And John, I did like the way the official came over to speak to Zegras during our television timeout, explain the call to him. Love it when the officials, because things get pretty heated on the ice, emotions are high. I really do. I've always appreciated it when the referees do come over and offer the player an explanation, because you can see Zegras didn't agree with the call.
Fiala speeds past Silverberg on that drop pass from Doughty, and it's an easy entry for the Kings on the power play. Doughty at the right point, slides it over. A lot of room there for Kopitar. And now handcuffed by the return pass. Silverberg tries to pop it ahead, and Lundstrom's going to draw a penalty here from Kevin Fiala.
This is the one knock on Fiala that the Wild had, quite honestly, is that he does take bad penalties from time to time. 52 penalty minutes for Fiala, and there's contact with the head of Isaac Lundstrom, and the reason why he sits in the box.
So that brings an end to the power play. We saw Mike Stothers on the Anaheim bench a moment ago. You talked about it, Brian, on that first power play, that the Ducks needed to clean some things up. Well, they gave up 6 shots on goal and 5 grade A's on that first power play. Since then, 3 other shorthanded situations, no shots on goal, no grade A opportunities. I'd say he got his point across, and they cleaned it up quite nicely.
Well, one of the things that teams are starting to do on power plays, that player who plays the bumper position in the middle of the ice sets subtle little screens and opens up passing lanes, and puts a lot of pressure on the defensive team to kind of avoid getting caught up in those screens.
So the unpopular penalty here at Crypto on Fiala, as they showed it on the big board over center ice, creates a 4-on-4. And now Vetrano, unable to connect as he was trying to get it to Drysdale, who fell down, creates a chance here, and a follow robbed by Stolars. Boy, the Ducks have gotten some real good goaltending in this game. Gibson made a number of great saves in the opening period, and Stolars made a couple here in the second. In case you're just joining us, John Gibson left with an upper body ailment after the first period, is not expected to return. So Anthony Stolars comes in cold off the bench, and he has held the fort. Ducks have added a couple here in the second, and now they're on the power play. Zegras and Terry play catch through the neutral zone, and they gain the line. Terry has it knocked away. Dursey got a stick on it. Strome recovers. Nice play by Ryan Strome a couple of times to get it back to Klingberg. Now they're set up. 50 seconds in the power play. Klingberg dangles with it, watched by Lazat. Across for Zegras. A lot of room. Klingberg makes a little shot pass deflected by Strome wide. Zegras recovers, quickly moves it across to Terry. Into the middle, it's Klingberg. Zegras open. And that shot pass hits Strome in the hip. Anaheim doing a nice job with puck recovery. Zegras hands it to Terry, pulls it in, and he scores! Troy Terry has tied the game.
Good puck movement again, and this is what I like about Troy Terry's, and that snapshot of his. This goes through Jonathan Quick. I'm not sure if it's arm in the body or the 5-hole, but the puck movement got the Kings penalty killers to collapse. And then watch Troy Terry moves out high. Now he gets a little forward momentum going. That makes all the difference in the world. And he catches Jonathan Quick leaning just a little bit. Where does this puck go? Right through the wickets. And the power play goal by Anaheim has brought the Ducks all the way back. Boy, it's a shame we're only going to get 3 preseason games, John, or 3 regular season games between these two guys, because the preseason games have been highly entertaining.
Yeah, they have. All 3 Anaheim goals now have gone 5-hole on Jonathan Quick. And Anaheim has erased a 3-goal deficit. Zegras with the primary assist. Here's a turnover, and Regenda works in behind the Kings goal. So the Ducks looking for their first lead now as Kulikov's shot sails wide. Grant trying to set a screen in front, and that buys time for Sean Walker to hoist it the length of the ice. No icing, and Kulikov loses the race right to the front of the net, and Stolar's forced to make a big save.
Boy, Anthony has come in here in this second period and made 2 or 3 beauties. The Ducks have come back.
Welcome back, everybody, and congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Grant. Derek married his wife Alexa this summer in an intimate setting in Cabo. Just family, perfect weather. He brought 6 shirts just in case, but only went through 3. Had a perfect smile on his wedding day. He had great teeth in those photos, guys, but broke them shortly after. John, I'm sad to report he left his teeth in his pocket and put them through the wash. So back to the good old hockey smile for Derek Grant.
Well, everybody went to Ter's wedding. That's what they said. I mean, that's part of why it was intimate and mainly just family. Ducks have tied it at 3. We're in the second. Congratulations to the Grants. And hopefully they got gifts from all the players who went to Troy Terry's wedding. Anthony Stolarz, married the same day, has come in and been quite good in this second period for Anaheim, allowing his teammates to come from 3 down. And now we got ourselves about a 24-minute hockey game. Incidentally, in case you aren't aware, regardless of whether this one ends in a tie or not, there will be a shootout after this one is over, as has been customary throughout the preseason in the National Hockey League this year when the teams have agreed upon it. It's kind of anticlimactic after a game has ended. We had that game Tuesday, Brian, up at Honda Center. The Ducks prevailed 5-4, and then the Kings won the shootout. And after the third shooter in the first shooter in the third round, I should say, and it seemed. I know the teams are trying to practice it. That's what the whole point of it is. It seems like you should just go through the full shootout regardless of what the score is. But I know goaltenders at that juncture of the game aren't really all that interested in facing a lot of shooters if they don't have to.
Well, and I think at the end of the preseason, I can tell you everyone's looking forward to get the year going at this point.
Shattenkirk blew a wheel in the corner, opened up a little bit of ice, and then Mikey Anderson broke his stick. Everybody working out the bugs here as this one bounces out to center ice, and we're into the final 3+ minutes here in the second period. The Kings got 3 in the first, the Ducks with 3 in the second, and that's where we stand. 3-3 with 3 to go. Doughty fires it ahead off of Arvidsson and into the Anaheim zone, and he and Beaulieu collide in the corner. Moore centers all the way to the line. Roy rescues the puck. Arvidsson trying to turn to his forehand, but he can't. Hands it off to Dursey. Dursey wheels with it out high and scores on a wrist shot. Tipped in front. Philip Deneau gives the Kings a 4-3 lead.
I don't think Phil Deneau gets a stick on this puck. Kind of a bouncing wrister thrown in there by Dursey, and I think it hits a shin pad or something and goes into the back of the net. Good movement by Dursey, and you can see that Troy Terry's trying to stay in front of him. He just throws it towards. That's a weird looking bounce, isn't it? Watch this puck bounce. So it's off the shaft of the stick, rolling puck. Oh, it doesn't hit anybody.
Oh, you're right.
It's just a knuckleball that takes a crazy hop and goes between the arm and the body of Anthony Stolarz.
How about Sean Dursey? Up until Thursday, he hadn't appeared in a preseason game for the Kings. He's played just under 5 periods. He has 5 points.
He is so deceptive. I mean, when I watch him, I'm impressed with that escapability that he has. You know, under pressure, doesn't seem to panic with the puck. And he's become a factor on their power play, that's for sure.
Not huge, 6 foot 185 by NHL defenseman standards, but he can move. No doubt about that. And he's given the Kings the lead again, now 4-3. Drysdale has time, goes rink wide, and stumbling as he falls into the zone with it there was Silverberg. Jacob continues to track the puck. Meantime, Sean Walker goes up the boards and out. We're down to 1:40 to go in the second period. Klingberg's pass knocked away from Lundestrom, but he stays with it in front of the Kings bench. Ducks try to restart, and now Klingberg sauces it all the way to center ice. Comtois tried to touch it to Fowler. Takes it away a second time at the blue line. Cam again pursues it, and now Anaheim's offside. I could have swore that puck was kicked by Comtois, but they say play on. Kempe reverses it away from the forechecking pressure, and now Walker lobs it into the Anaheim end. The Toronto back to pick it up. Gives it up and gets it back from Klingberg, releases on the puck up the left boards and then can't track it down. It's in the equipment of Velarde. Henrique comes over to dislodge it, but Quinton Byfield brings it back. Up the glass and into the corner. Iafallo meets Klingberg there. Final 60 seconds of the first as Byfield trying to work his way to the front of the net, but he ran into Henrique. Keeps it alive. Iafallo feeds the line, and it gets away from Mikey Anderson.
Yeah, that's a good break for the Ducks. The Kings had Anaheim back on their heels and end of a long shift.
Doughty corrals and brings to center. Weaves his way into the Anaheim zone, pulls the trigger, and that's just absorbed by Anthony Stolarz.
With Drew Doughty, it really is amazing when you look back at his time on ice year after year after year. This has incredible endurance. Norris Trophy winner now 7 years ago. And can he get back to that level? He's going to play a ton, we know that. Last year, averaged 25 minutes and 44 seconds a game during the regular season. It's incredible and not that dissimilar from his previous seasons.
6 of the last 8 years, he has been either first or second in the National Hockey League in ice time per game. And of course, last year, a bit of a misnomer because he missed so much time due to that injury. Second period has come to a close. The Ducks with a furious comeback to tie it, but a late goal by Sean Durzi, and the Kings with a 1-goal cushion.
You can see Anthony Stolarz kind of laughing with Drew Doughty. There's little smiles and good feelings in the preseason. That changes once the regular season gets going. Good comeback by the Ducks. They did a much better job defending in front of Stolarz. He made a couple of good stops, but overall it looked like just a lot more controlled effort from Anaheim, and that is certainly something that will please the head coach.
Mason McTavish started the comeback for the Ducks, who trailed by 3 when the period began. A deft little 5-hole goal, and the Ducks were off to the races. They would tie it at 3 before the Durzi goal in the dying minutes. Something tells me this one might not finish. As it stands now, 4-3 Kings. 4-3 after 2. We're in downtown Los Angeles. Crypto.com is the site. And in 20 minutes, we'll be talking about a regular season that means a new start for everyone. And Brian Hayward, it's always great to have a new start to a new season, but maybe no more so than for Max Jones. And is he ever taking advantage of it?
I'll tell you what, nobody's been smiling more than Max Jones throughout training camp, just to be back and be around the guys. But boy, he's really playing well. Last game against the Kings, got a pair of goals in that one. And you know, when I think about the way this fourth line is currently constructed, you've got Grant in the middle, you got Jones and Regenna on the wing. So you got big bodies on that line, but it's also the fact that both Jones and Grant play prominent roles on the penalty killing unit. So they're going to get a lot of ice time. Here's his goal tonight. By the way, nice skating there by Regenna to open up, wait, delay, create the passing lane, find Max Jones in the middle. And when Max plays a simple game like that, like there was no messing around on that goal. Puck on a stick, releases the shot right away, caught Jonathan Quick moving a little bit, so Quick's legs were open. It's the reason the puck ends up in the back of the net. But when he simplifies his game and plays that power forward role, he can be really effective. And so, boy, it's just great to see Max back, but it's also great to see that he looks like he's in great shape and ready to go and playing the kind of game that they really need him to play in order to be the most effective player he can be.
So very quickly into this third period, besides staying healthy, what's the most important thing you're looking for?
Well, I think overall you want a simple game. I'm focusing on breakouts because once the regular season starts, teams tend to ramp up their forecheck. There's a lot more pressure on defensemen to get the puck and make the right decision and get the puck out of the defensive zone quickly. It was a problem for Anaheim at times last season. So that's what I'm keying on here in the third. Those breakouts, when they get the puck under control in the defensive zone, can they move it up ice quickly?
And speaking of health, again, if you're just joining us, Dallas Eakins' plan was to give this game to John Gibson. He ended up giving him the first period, and Gibson left due to an upper body injury, and we're told he will not return. So that's why Anthony Stolarz is in net. Stolarz giving up just the 1 goal in that second period. And the Ducks now find themselves in a 1-goal game. For Anaheim after today, Monday, of course, is the day all teams in the league have to submit their opening night roster, their 23-man roster. The Kings will open on Tuesday. The Ducks won't play till Wednesday at home against Seattle. Probably should mention it doesn't have to be a 23-man roster either. That's maybe something that's not commonly known. Here come the Ducks 2-on-1. Fowler winds and fires. He had Regenda with him, but he just took the shot and quick hangs on.
Right out of the chute, 2-on-1 break for Anaheim, and Todd McClellan, he's already over there, got the iPad in his hands, taking a peek, and wanted to figure out how quickly that materialized. You could see that Fowler makes the right decision. It was well defended by Sean Walker there, who took away Regenda as the passing option, but you can see Cam wasn't all that impressed with the shot that he took, buried it right in the midsection of Jonathan Quick.
Head up all the way for Cam Fowler. Led the Ducks in ice time a season ago. Led the D in goals, assists, and points last year. Klingberg goes back to play one in his own zone, and he's leaned on and down on the ice as Arvidsson knocks him down, but he keeps the puck alive and then moves it up the wall. Fowler there to assist him, trying to find Zegras, but it comes through. Edler plays it across Sean Walker with a shot pass that misses everything and goes wide, and now out center ice, the Kings have to tag up. All the way back now for Philip Deneau. Kings will lob it into the Anaheim zone, and back to play it. Dmitry Kulikov. His pass picked off by Andrzej Kopitar. Hard around and in from Drew Doughty. To the corner. Doughty keeps it alive, just jams it around, and a redirection in front from Kopitar to miss the net.
You see the quickness of Fiala there, and the quick hands to get that puck to Kopitar in front of the net.
Kopitar puts it on a tee, and Mikey Anderson's shot just stays at the top of the crease. Kulikov skating it to the corner, but Anaheim just needs to clear the zone and get a change. And now Terry stood up at the line. Puck turned over, though, as McTavish picks it up and keeps coming. And then he just lost the handle as he looked up to take the shot.
So Doughty went for the hit on Terry, and doing so, it created a 2-on-1 for the Ducks, but Anaheim doesn't execute on that 2-on-1. Sometimes when D-men go for the big hit, they draw themselves out of position. And watch Doughty step up here on Troy Terry, but he's got no support. And away goes Mason McTavish. He doesn't do anything with it. He was thinking about getting the puck across to Ryan Strome, but kind of bobbled it. Couldn't feed him the puck, so Doughty gets away with that one.
Well, we don't mention it often. Drew Doughty 6'1", 215, so he packs a punch. Not the biggest guy, but he knows how to do it.
I don't know that I've ever seen a player that just enjoys playing the game as much as Drew Doughty does. This looks like he's having a whale of a time all the time.
Part of why it's so easy for him to play so much. You were talking about that in the second period. That, and oh, he's pretty good too. That's part of it. Here's Alex Iafallo, brings it into the Anaheim zone, right down the slot, kicked into the netting by Stolarz. A late reaction from Steve Kazari, the official, and the players all helped him out.
Nice job again by Stolarz. Kind of angles the goal stick back and deflects that puck up into the corner. And he's having a discussion with Kazari right now. It's a dark arena here at Crypto.com, and got to be tough for the officials when that puck gets up high on the glass to determine whether or not it does indeed touch the netting or not.
Well, I know how you players are. I'm sure the discussion was, hey, I'm just trying to help you, right? Certainly the way that conversation normally goes.
You can garner favor at any time.
just trying to help. Grundstrom lost his stick. Ducks still possess the puck. Regenda spun around by Lazat as he enters the Los Angeles zone, and Walker around the boards and out. Little help from Arthur Kaliev, who's got 3 points in this game, and offside are the Kings. Kaliev with a goal and 2 assists so far in this one, including his 3rd of the preseason. 80 games a season ago for Kaliev, who still checks in at just 21 years of age. 14 goals a year ago, Brian. You got to think they've got him earmarked for a few more than that this year.
Born in Uzbekistan, now an American citizen.
By way of Staten Island. So the Ducks looking for the equalizer again. Zegras throws it in front. It went off of Arvidsson, and Quick had to be alert, and he covers it up.
Kind of a blind pass by Zegras where you try and catch the LA defenders napping a little bit. The key is just the fact that it's so unexpected. Like all in one motion, as soon as he got that puck off the dashboard, he just dumped it to the top of the goal crease. Adam Henrique unable to get a stick on that one.
Zegras got a half a preseason game a week ago Wednesday against the Arizona Coyotes. It was midway in the second period that he was on the receiving end of that hit from Jan Jenik. That kept him out of practice with the normal group for the Ducks until yesterday. Seems to be in mid-season verbal form as he's able to win the draw here. And Quick had a little problem with it. Zegras nearly hoisted the rebound over top.
And somebody got a touch on that cross for that point shot.
And Kulikov's shot was redirected on the way, and if Zegras could have hoisted it over Quick, he would have tied the game. Ducks doing a nice job recovering pucks. I don't know. Zegras tried to flip that over the back of the net from behind the goal there a moment ago. I'm not sure exactly how he was trying to move that puck in front, and now Vetrano lays it back to his goaltender Stolars in a soccer move. Kulikov up the right side with the Ducks changing, drops it off the bench. It's Terry, releases on the puck, carries in, he's got speed. Little pass goes between a couple different teammates. He missed McTavish and was out of the reach of Shattenkirk, so tracked down by Beaulieu. His pass doesn't connect, so the Kings with a little regroup. Dursey wires it across, brought out of the skates by Fiala. Sidesteps Beaulieu's hit, and in front Kempe can't get a shot away. Kopitar spins it behind the net, back for Adrian Kempe. 35 goals a year ago. He brings it right to the side of the net, and it's frozen to the goal there by Anthony Stolars.
Ducks come close to tying this game up. Face-off win by Zegras, and he gets it back, and then the cross-ice pass and the shot by Kulikov. Who else but Adam Henrique gets a touch on it? That would have been close to a high stick, but no call on that, and Zegras had a crack at the rebound. I think Jonathan Quick was able to extend that right leg and take away that short side. One of the things Zegras said when I asked him what he'd been working on, he goes, I've really been working on face-offs. Because I realize the game's a lot more fun to play when I have the puck, trying to work hard to get it back all the time.
Ducks possess on the defensive zone draw. Silverberg's pass, though, knocked down by Kempe. Comtois trying to go in hard on Dursey, but he misses him. And Kopitar backhands it to center. Fiala has been very noticeable in this game for Dursey, who's been very good in this game, and he gets just enough of a hit as he moves the puck around the boards to force Dursey back.
Yeah, that time it was John Klingberg. Tried to go all Drew Doughty on him there. Stuck out the hip on Dursey.
Klingberg carries it in and wires it around. Walker from down low, pressured by Zegras, but able to move it ahead, and here's Iafallo 2-on-2. He's got Velarde with him. Gabe Velarde out of the corner in front, and Edler redirected it over top. Yeah, Alex Edler, not known for being up on the play in his latter stages of his career, but he got all the way to the top of the crease on that one. Walker hustles back to get it and leaves it for his defense partner Edler. Swedish native hits the brakes and finds Byfield up the left side. Quinton crisscrossing through the logo, and his pass broken up by Frank Vetrano with the Ducks. Vetrano banks it ahead. Grant leaves it here. Speed for Jones. Pulls it in. Goes backhand. Back forehand. Got to the net, and Quick made a nice save. A chance on the rebound for Vetrano. Quick can't find it, and finally he does and gets the whistle. And a little post-whistle pleasantry as Vetrano and Edler were tangled with one another. Now that's Kings Ducks.
Well, a couple of good scoring chances last shift. Alex Edler, who you don't expect to be up on the play. See, Edler's the third man coming into the zone. Gets in behind Adam Henrique, puts the stick blade down, and does not miss by much. Boy, what a nice pass that was across to Edler by Velarde. And then at the opposite, watch this move by Max Jones. Backside of the stick, in around Alex Edler, and look, see the way he leans in with that left shoulder? And the rebound was there and almost cashed in by Frank Vetrano. Boy, Quick just got that with the crook of the arm. But good rush, good speed up ice from Max Jones.
So scoreless in the third through the first 6+ minutes. It remains 4-3 Kings. Ducks have never led. They got down 3-0 in this one. Boy, a little miscommunication there. And Anthony Stolarz looks around. He says, how is that not icing? Otherwise, I would have played that puck.
The goaltenders look for the linesman closest to them to see if they have waved off icing or not. Stolarz thought that he saw something to not make a play on that puck.
He was purposely trying to allow it to be what he thought would be an icing call. And instead, Grundstrom got a pretty good scoring chance. Anthony kept it out. It remains 4-3. Ryan Strome wins this faceoff. He's the only Duck centerman so far this afternoon who's on the high side of 50% in the faceoff circle. Mikey Anderson serves it back in, and it's set up by Stolarz. Fowler and Klingberg through center. Poked off John's stick as he got to the blue line, and Trevor Moore turns back with it. Coming off a career season himself, Moore hands it off. Arvidsson from a sharp angle, and Stolarz got the shoulder in the way. Moore digs it loose. Right point Doughty. Cross ice pass. Arvidsson misfires on the one-timer. And you could probably attribute that to rust as much as anything. Victor Arvidsson unable to convert the one-time attempt.
You know, you talked about health, John, as being so critical for this third period for both teams. And I think especially for players like McTavish and Zegras and Arvidsson, who have been dealing with some injuries throughout training camp and haven't been able to get the reps in that the rest of the guys have. Those are the players that coaches really worry about.
Kings turn it over as it's dumped in, and Lundestrom now being tracked by Matt Roy. Pulls up on the left half wall, swings it around, chased down by Max Comtois. Comtois knocked off his feet by Dursey, and the puck cleared away. Grant covers up, but doesn't connect on his attempt to, or excuse me, it was Beaulieu on his attempted pass. Fiala comes in, and Beaulieu got in the way of his bid. Kopitar wires it across for Dursey. He's slippery, isn't he?
He sure is. He sends out a lot of misinformation, that's for sure.
Kempe hands it off, and Matt Roy's shot over top. Dursey with the keep. Moves it and moves up the boards, but the return pass intercepted and cleared away by Max Comtois. 11:40 to go, third period. Kings 4, Ducks 3. Glad to have you along on a Saturday afternoon from Crypto.com. This one redirected in and bouncing to the right is Stolarz. Kulikov got to it first. Up the boards, Iafallo with help from Byfield. Right into the slot. Velarde didn't get a lot on it. That was disrupted as he pulled the trigger, and Stolarz hangs on.
Gabe Velarde is making his bid, isn't he, to be on the opening night roster for LA. Oh, it was a good block there. Boy, you could just see a little touch on that puck disrupted. Good play by Kulikov. The veteran defenseman kind of leads with the stick, gets a little piece of it. Velarde, of course, over the years, John, has had chronic back issues. He seems to have gotten over the hump, and that is good news for LA.
You know, he's still just 23 years old. A former first-round pick. Velarde was taken 11th overall back in 17. He had a good preseason. Got the scoring started in this one this afternoon, and the Kings with a 4-3 lead. Fowler circles his net after coming up with it. Goes right up the middle for Max Jones. It does not connect, and as a result, it's icing.
That was a good try by Cam. Fowler got on his horse, got to that loose puck in behind the net, and turned on the Jets. Got a little bit of separation. Thought he had Jones in the middle. And you see Cam looked like he may have been clipped by a stick at some point. A little cut just above that right lip.
Ducks hoping to generate more shots this season. Have only 20 to this point. Kings credited with 33 as Fowler's attended to by Joe Huff on the Anaheim bench. Face-off win for the Kings, but stepping into it was Jones. Overskated it. Kulikov able to clear. And now a regroup for the Kings. Velarde trying to move it into the middle. Doesn't connect with Byfield, and it's just played back out by Max Jones. Grant to the bench for a change as the Kings shovel it back in. Kulikov with his head on a swivel. Quick pass, nice pass to Toronto, who threw it into a little bit of traffic. Jones unable to further it along. And here's Byfield. His shot off of Stolarz and out of play.
Anthony Stolarz is a big man, and he fills up a lot of that net. It's tough for players to have anything to shoot at. If there's no passing option, Anthony can just creep out an extra foot. See how he's like a foot in front of that blue paint? And when he falls down like that, like, look at there's nothing. There's absolutely nothing. No chance for Byfield unless he makes a perfect shot into one of those top corners. Nothing there.
Quentin Byfield got 40 games with the big club last year. Of course, broke his ankle early on and missed games because of that. Deneau's redirect goes over top of the net. Trevor Moore pounces on it, and he is stapled to the wall by Beaulieu. Ducks rim it around. Arvidsson throws it in front, and they score. Philip Deneau in the blue paint. It's 5-3 Kings.
Well, the Kings were able to capitalize on a turnover by the Ducks. The Ducks actually got full possession in behind their own goal line. And then right here, Arvidsson just kind of snugged himself up against the boards. Puck came right back to him, and what a pass. Shattenkirk can't tie up the stick of Deneau in front. And Deneau just kind of puts all his weight, all the leverage on that stick blade and sweeps it home.
So 3-0 Kings, then 3-3, now 5-3 Kings. So still a half a period to play. And one thing we know, at least in this preseason, when these teams come together, there's going to be some goal scoring. Ducks won 5-4 on Tuesday up at Honda Center. Of course, they started with a rather pedestrian 2-1 game here last weekend. Lundestrom eludes the hit of Doughty, furthered along by Silverberg behind the net, and Comtois with a big collision on Deneau in the corner. Two of them both get back up and rejoin the play while Drysdale handles it back in the Anaheim zone. Zegras with speed through center, bounces off of Dursey as he sends it to the corner, and then bumps there with Matt Roy. Up the wall, Klingberg tries to keep. Got support at the point from Vetrano. His shot easily sticked away by Jonathan Quick. Vetrano gets it back. Klingberg keeps it in. And Dursey chips it ahead. Nearly got it to a spinning Fiala and then overskated by Kempe, but the play is offside. 5-3 Kings. The Kings on top at Crypto.com. It is our pleasure to once again inform you that American Honda will bring us our 3-star leaderboard this season. It's been a tradition. Ducks players earn points when they're named one of the stars of the game, and past winners have been John Gibson, 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 Ryan Getzlaf, and Corey Perry.
He has had a stranglehold on it, and right now, I mean, we don't know about the status of John Gibson. Took a high shot in the opening period tonight, left the game with an upper body injury. And fingers are crossed that everything is okay with the Ducks' #1 netminder.
It's always the caveat in the final preseason game, any sport for any team, is try to get through it healthy. And you're trying to replicate the regular season because you're getting ready for it, but you also want to be as healthy as you can, have your best group available to you to start the season. Troy Terry spoke with Ali Lozoff about that in our second intermission. Right now, Blake Lizotte using the glass behind his own net to get it to Matt Roy. Dursey knocks it down, handles it deftly, and Roy will start again. And changes from off the Kings bench.
Able to regroup. Dursey again. He's got the head up all the way, doesn't he?
Makes a big difference for them on their back end. And Doughty, you chronicled it, he's going to play a lot. Dursey's another right-hand option. Last time we saw the Kings, they dressed 4 defensemen who were right-hand shots in that game. They've got some good options. Here's Kempe. Fiala's in front, and he scores! Just too much time down low for Kempe and Fiala to work. It's 6-3.
Remember earlier I said that Drew Doughty drew himself out of position looking for a hit. Dmitry Kulikov does the same here. That's Kulikov that runs all the way up there chasing. And then the pass comes across, and boy, oh boy, it's Kevin Fiala on those quick hands. Just gets enough on it. Not much that Anthony Stolarz can do. Jamie Drysdale was back defending the 2-on-1 down low. Could not prevent that cross-ice pass. And what a pass it was. I mean, Kempe just drills that thing. And credit the strength and the wrists of Kevin Fiala, who was able to get enough of that to kind of shovel it forward into that. Not an easy shot to execute.
The Kings have high hopes that Fiala can replicate what he did last year in Minnesota. He's going to get every opportunity to be a 30-goal scorer again. He's been a 20-goal scorer 4 times in his career. But now it's the Kings with the first 3, the Ducks with the next 3, and now the Kings with 3 more. And for the second time this afternoon, LA has a 3-goal lead. 6-3 Kings, and now the clock becoming an ally of Los Angeles. 6:50 to go in the game, as Vetrano's shot from a bad angle is saved and then covered by Jonathan Quick.
We talked about Kevin Fiala and the season he had with the Wild before. 33 goals last season. And the impressive part for me is that a lot of the year he was not on their #1 power play unit. And for him to put up 33 is impressive. With the emergence, of course, of Kirill Kaprizov, the reason why the Wild felt that they could let a player like Fiala move away.
And they had salary cap issues as well in Minnesota. They've got some expiring deals, that players that they've moved on from that they're still on the hook for. And then Kaprizov with his big ticket extension as well, as Dursey's shot is deflected out of play.
Yeah, the Kings really, when they landed him, I mean, 7-year deal, just under $8 million a season for Fiala. So they immediately have made the determination. This is a guy, this is a core piece for us.
Gave up a first-rounder and a prospect to get him. Native of Switzerland, now his 3rd NHL team. Started with the Nashville Predators before moving on to Minnesota, and now here with the Kings. Regenda for Anaheim pulls up in the neutral zone and gets it deep. Quick takes a look around as he's out to play it. 6:15 left. And the Kings on top 6-3. Jones trying to turn into the middle and kick it up, but he couldn't get it from skate to stick. Klingberg gathers it in back in the Anaheim zone. He and Fowler start back. Snuck through, and Jones spins into the zone. Return pass hopped the stick of Fowler. And Philip Deneau. 27 goals a year ago for Deneau. Career high. Former Chicago Blackhawk and Montreal Canadian, joined by Arvidsson, who cuts into the middle but can't get it any further. Klingberg brings it back. Behind the net, Drew Doughty. And he'll reverse it right back. Arvidsson lets Mikey Anderson handle it. Comtois, the lone forechecker for the Ducks. And Doughty content to just work some clock as he goes back behind the net to stay away from it. Pass coughed up. Lundestrom just flips it up the board. Silverberg pokes it the rest of the way in. Doughty behind the net. Pressure on Anderson comes from Comtois, but the Kings alleviate it. And Kulikov at center couldn't turn it back. Byfield muscles it deep. Drysdale had Iafallo right on his hip. Clock ticks to under 5 minutes to play as Byfield's pass skips away from Doughty at the right point, and both teams will get changes.
I've been in this situation before, John, when it's a 3-goal game, last preseason game, and I think both teams have their eye on the clock a little bit here.
Well, there have been some laughers. Buffalo lost at Pittsburgh last night in their preseason finale, 7-1. I saw St. Louis was up 6-0 this afternoon on the Blackhawks after 2 periods of play. We've got a delayed penalty coming up to the Kings here. It will no longer be delayed. This one is 6-3 Kings, and the Ducks on the power play when we come back.
Kevin Fiala sits in the box having a nice little chat with one of the off-ice officials. Here's the penalty. It's a hook. Contact with the hand on Shattenkirk and sent him sit in the sin bin for a couple of minutes. Dallas Eakins would very appreciative of that because he gets to have one more rep for his top power play unit here. So again, mixing and matching. He's going to pull the goaltender, John, and go 6-on-4. So it's an opportunity for him to try something out here in a preseason game with 4:16 left.
I have a feeling Kevin Fiala is going to get to know those off-ice officials pretty well this season. That's his 3rd minor penalty today. He had a career-high 52 penalty minutes last year in Minnesota, but could easily have more than that. Here are the Ducks, 6-on-4. Terry's one-timer comes over to Zegras. Boy, he had a yawning net, looked like. And instead, he tried to hook it back to the line, but he's off the mark.
Yeah, it came to the backhand side for Zegras, and the reason why he elected not to take that shot.
Terry carries it in for Strome. Back to the line, it's Klingberg. And this is exactly what the preseason is for, to practice this. Zegras' shot sticks to Jonathan Quick as Anaheim gets to work on their 6-on-4 a little bit.
So Zegras takes the shot, but there is no screen in front of Jonathan Quick. And, when you got a 6-on-4, you want to make sure that there's someone there taking away the eyes of the goaltender. You could see that McTavish was in the general vicinity, but Quick was well to the side of McTavish and had a clean look.
Ducks win the draw as Zegras is able to keep it alive for Terry. Right circle, Zegras' pass across off the stick of Deneau and off the glass and out of play. He was looking for Troy Terry. A good play there by Philip Deneau.
Yeah, a good active stick by Deneau. And what the, when the Kings first acquired Philip Deneau, I thought, man, he's going to help their penalty kill. He's going to take all those face-offs and take a little bit of pressure off, I want to say, Kopitar in the defensive zone. But when you got the kind of offensive production that he delivered last season, you talk about a home run of a pickup he has been for LA.
3:22 remains in regulation. Dursey trying to clear off the face-off. 6-3 Kings. Ducks with the goaltender pulled, 6-on-4 right now. And regardless of how this one ends up, again, we mentioned it earlier, there will be a 3-person shootout. Each team will have 3 shooters. Hard around and in. Fowler able to get it to the near side. Henrique trying to kick it up. Some help from Shattenkirk. Finds Max Jones. Back to Fowler. Retreats to the left point. Watched by Deneau. Jones again moves it for Regenda. Regenda's passing the skates of Jones. He couldn't find it. Regenda intercepts. Tries to walk it right to the goal crease. It's popped through by Henrique. Regenda tracks it down. At the top of the zone. Shattenkirk to Fowler. Now Vetrano walks into a shot. Back to Fowler, who tees one up, blocked in front, came right to Shattenkirk. He got it to Henrique, right back to Shattenkirk. And work it around the perimeter. It's Fowler for Vetrano. Vetrano will shoot, and it was loose. Just got away from Henrique at the side of the net. Penalty is over, out of the box. Fiala now 6-on-5. Vetrano leans into a one-timer. Loose. Ranging to his right and sprawling is quick. He can't get it under his pads, but it's poked to the corner. Shattenkirk gets it back to the line. Vetrano didn't get it through. Popped over top of the net as Regenda got a stick on it, and it's out of play.
It sure is a different look, and you have Jones and Regenda, and they're stationed at the top of the goal crease. And Jonathan Quick, I don't know if he had any idea where a lot of these pucks were, but he got a little fortunate there as the puck just kind of bounces away, and then Max Jones had a poke at it. Regenda's poking away at it. And this is what big bodies will do for you when you surround the opposition goal crease. They're just harder to move.
Anthony Stolarz returns to the Anaheim goal crease with the stoppage of play, and we go back to 5-on-5 for the final 2 minutes here. Should probably mention, you know, the Ducks still have some decisions to make. They've got a lot of defensemen in camp right now. Remember, Urho Vakanainen had that violent crash with the boards in a preseason game earlier. We haven't seen him since, but Josh Mahura and Simon Benoit are still in camp. The decisions, Brian, that still have to be made include, do you want to go with 13 or 14 forwards as Stolarz makes the save on Velarde? And that, of course, affects how many defensemen you're going to carry.
Rocco Grimaldi yet to be signed as of this morning anyway, and yet to be determined whether he is going to be signed. Had a great camp, made a very strong impression.
Young defenseman Noah Warren, who had a procedure earlier this week on a previous injury on his foot, is still in camp with the team. He obviously can go back to junior at just 18 years of age.
The expectation is that is what is going to happen with young Noah Warren. I should mention, I did see Urho Vakanainen briefly today. John said he's doing much better and confident that it won't be that much longer before he's back into the mix.
Well, that's good to hear. 1 minute remaining in the preseason as the Ducks clear it out. The Kings, barring a collapse here, are going to get the win in the final preseason meeting. They'll take 2 of the 3, winning both here at Crypto, while the Ducks won at Honda Center. And in another 40 seconds or so, we'll have a 3-round shootout. And then everybody can focus on those opening night rosters and the decisions we just referenced. Regenda lays it back. And Beaulieu's pass ahead skipped away from both Grant and Jones and is now iced by the Kings. So 15 seconds and some change remains.
And every team's in a similar situation in that what factors into who stays and who is not on the opening night roster, the waivers also comes into play. Earlier today, the Dallas Stars put their goaltenders on waivers. Anton Hudobin, and you wondered if some of the teams, like a Vegas, for example, that's looking for goaltending help, might pull the trigger and pick up a veteran goaltender like that.
Former Duck Anton Hudobin. Kings win the draw, flip it to center. It bounces off of Drysdale, and Velarde comes in, trying to find Grundstrom from behind the net. His wraparound goes right through the crease, and Kulikov skates away the remainder of the preseason.
Well, the question that remains from an Anaheim perspective is, how is John Gibson doing? I mean, that's the most important takeaway I have from this game, quite honestly.
Yep.
Ducks made a push in period number 2, clawed their way all back in to tie game up at 3 apiece. And then the third period kind of got away from them a little bit.
No, we didn't talk much about Jonathan Quick's situation either, Brian. He begins his 16th season. This is the only team he's ever played for. It's widely known this is the last year of his contract, but is it the last year of his career? And the way he played last season and the way he approaches things and has played this preseason, I think that's a valid question as well.
Cal Peterson, everyone was expecting him to take the net last year, and Quick outplayed him.
So the Ducks will shoot first in the shootout, and Kevin Shattenkirk, a 13-year veteran in his own right, will approach the 16-year veteran Quick and score.
Shattenkirk, this is, I think, his favorite play in the shootout, where he just kind of slows it down and picks his spot, and it's just about a foot off the ice, over top of that right pad.
So Matt Roy, a defenseman to lead off for both teams, 5th-year man out of Michigan Tech, will pick it up, and here he comes approaching Anthony Stolarz. And Anthony keeps that one out. So the Ducks with an early lead in the shootout.
No problem here for Stolarz, and you know, that was the first career attempt for Matt Roy, and I don't think he's going to be at the top of Todd McClellan's list.
This is the defense portion of the shootout. Here's Cam Fowler, and Quick doesn't have a lot of problem with that.
Yeah, and now Alex Edler coming for the LA Kings. Here comes Cam Fowler, and a good stop by Jonathan Quick. He extends that blocker, moves it out in front just to cut down a little bit more angle.
You wonder if this was an extended agreement between the two coaching staffs. We'll go all defensemen. Edler tries to go backhand 5-hole, and again Stolarz denies.
Anthony Stolarz, Edler's trying to get him to move the goal stick out of the way, but those long goal pads that goaltenders wear today, they do not create much of a 5-hole. That's
First
for sure.
reference of the season. And it's John Klingberg as the third shooter for the Ducks. Very patient, and Quick stays with him.
Yeah, Jonathan Quick showed great patience. So to Klingberg, he's trying to get that puck and elevate it into the top of the net, gets the goaltender to go down, but watch the catching hand of Quick here. Just kind of got that cheater on it. Nice stop.
So the all-defense shootout winds up with Mikey Anderson. Or does it? Do we go on?
We got to go on, right? It's all tied.
Do they have enough defensemen left? We can only go 6 rounds before we run out of defensemen. Here comes Jamie Drysdale. This is like giving the ball to the fullback in football. You got to do it at least once or twice a year so they'll think you'll do it. Drysdale loses the handle, and then a frustrated swat at it. And Sean Walker, the 4th shooter for the Kings.
Number 26, Sean Walker.
When Anthony Stolarz just skated to the corner, and
I had the same thought. Someone suggested to me, shouldn't just everybody take a shot? And who knows, maybe we'll get there this afternoon.
Sean Walker picks it up right at the hash mark. A lot of players like to shoot right from that first hash mark. Don't want to get in too tight.
Dmitry Kulikov, the 5th Ducks shooter.
Career 2 of 8. Who would have thought?
He swings in off right wing, speeds up, and a left pad save from Jonathan Quick.
That was the old Charlie Simmer, the old low and slow. He tried to get the goaltender sliding and then kind of flip it back up into that trailing corner.
So Sean Dursey will be the 5th Kings shooter. All 10 shooters in this shootout have been defensemen. The right hand goes backhand. And now we'll see a 6th defenseman off the Anaheim bench. And that's going to be Nathan Beaulieu.
I want to see the slap shot tonight. You know, I want to.
Maybe it's right here.
The old Al McGinnis.
Beaulieu approaches. Stick save from Jonathan Quick. So the Ducks are out of D-men.
And Drew Doughty is the final king defenseman.
And then the fans rain down with the Drew chant. 12 shooters in the shootout, all have been defensemen. Can Doughty end it? No. And now, shucks, they got to go to forwards.
Drew Doughty did not have a lot of speed coming in on that. He tries to go to the backhand, but Stolarz times it perfectly and just got the top of the blocker on it.
So Trevor Zegras becomes an honorary defenseman here in the shootout.
We try something unique here. We could
He'll
see
be
it.
number 7. Slows down. And he's unable to sneak it through the pads of Jonathan Quick.
This would be the type of approach that would have driven me crazy as a goaltender. When the players almost stop in front of you and are stick handling the puck back and forth. That requires incredible patience.
So the first preseason game for Victor Arvidsson, and he'll get his first shootout attempt. Swinging in off right wing. Waits, goes backhand, and puts an end to the preseason.
Yeah, Arvidsson with a little fake and a change of speed, goes to the backhand and slides it home.
So no more shootouts just for fun. If you see a shootout from here on out, it's because the game was a tie. This one was a 6-3 win for the Ducks. And Ducks Live post game is coming up shortly.